And you know, more and more people are realizing that. They're realizing that they are responsible for their own empowerment. They realize, like me, that taking responsibility for your own prosperity will empower you to do more and to be more. But to do that, you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe that you deserve prosperity. And most people can't do that. They think they could. They wish they could. They hope they could. They think about it, dream about it, pray for a miracle. Sorry, pal, that ain't how it works. There are two primary choices in life. Either accept conditions as they exist, or accept the responsibility for changing them. I think it was Woody Allen who said, "Money is better than poverty, if only for financial reasons." So I'll tell you how I changed my life. I remember watching a movie featuring that great Australian actor, Peter Finch. And Peter Finch was playing in a movie called Network. Did you see that? You might have seen that movie, Network. And he was playing the part of Edward Beale, who was a television executive. And America in those days was going through the same sort of traumas that it's going through right now, really. There was wars, there was recession, the government was corrupt and manipulative, crime was rife on the streets, and people were afraid to leave their houses because of the chaos that was around. And Peter Finch, playing the character Edward Beale, was a television executive who was in that boat. He was fed up. He was fed up with being bullied by the government. He was fed up being beaten up on the streets by thugs, and also the manipulation of the television company that he was going through. And so one day he finally flipped. And he stood up from his news desk in the studio and he glared right into the cameras at all his millions of viewers out there in America. And he said to them, "I want you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to go over to the window. I want you to throw it wide. And I want you to yell out, 'I'm as mad as hell, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm as mad as hell, I'm not going to take this anymore.'" And within minutes, just minutes, all over America, millions of people were going out onto their balconies, opening their windows and yelling, "I'm as mad as hell, I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm as mad as hell, I'm not going to take this. I'm as mad." And it was an incredible scene. And you know, that scene won for Peter Finch the Academy Award. And that sunk into my mind somehow, because I decided to get mad myself, and I shouted at myself, "I'm as mad as hell, I'm not going to take this anymore." And myself said, "Oh, okay, well, let's change, let's do it. If that's the way you want to be, let's start by changing our thinking." And so I set myself a challenge based on a couple of phrases that I'd heard from successful motivators. And one of them was from a guy called Les Brown. Les Brown is an African-American public speaker, or motivational speaker, I suppose. And he's one of the greatest motivational speakers in the world. And something he said, "Successful people are prepared to do the things today that others won't do, in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have." Successful people are prepared to do the things today that others won't do, in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have. And so I asked myself that question. I said, "Are you prepared to do things today that others won't do in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, if that'll make me rich and successful, bring it on, I'll do it." And then I hit myself with another question. I said, "Well, if that's the case, why haven't you done it already?" And then I realized that I'd been listening to all these little negative voices in my head all my life. All these negative little nagging voices that were laughing at me, really, you know. "You can't do that, John. You don't have the skills to do things like that, John. You can't do that, John. You can't afford to do things like that, John. John, you're a used car salesman. You've got a wife and 2 kids to support. You can't do that, John. John, you can't do that. You don't have time to do things like that. And now normally, I would have agreed with all those voices, as I had been doing all my life. But this time, I was as mad as hell. And I said, well, maybe you think I can't, but by crikey, I'm going to give it a go. You know, and the second phrase that I challenged myself with was another one from Les Brown. And Les Brown said, rid yourself of toxic people. Toxic people. People who will hold you back from going wherever you want to go because they think they know you better than you do. Yeah. And I realized that a lot of those toxic people could be loved ones, family members, and friends. And I realized that a lot of the voices that I'd been hearing were from my circle of friends, and none of whom were rich and successful. And so one by one, sometimes 2 by 2 if they were a couple, I broke away from their negative influences, and instead I found myself attracted to a group of like-minded people who were trying in their lives to do and achieve greater things. And thirdly, the third thing I had to challenge myself with was this last question that Bob Proctor mentioned about 1% of the population having all the money in the world. And I thought to myself, well, if only 1% of the population own almost all the money in the world, there must be some shortage of money. And that the only way you could get it was to take it from other people. But that's not right. There's no shortage of money. There is no shortage of money on this earth. There's enough money and resources on this earth to make everyone on it a millionaire. The law of abundance takes care of that. You know, there is enough food on this planet to feed everybody on it. And it's all created by the law of abundance. The law of abundance is a natural law. And it provides us for everything that we want. There's an old saying, I'm not sure if it's a Red Indian saying or an Eastern Indian saying, but it's something like Hane nawa huni maya, hane nawa hani waya. Something like that. But roughly translated, it means, from abundance we took abundance, and still abundance remained. From abundance we took abundance, and still abundance remains. And I'll give you an example of this. If you're sitting on your own or if you're with a group of people watching this, on the count of 3, I want you all to take a big deep breath. Just fill your lungs with air, okay? 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Keep going. Breathe in, breathe in. From abundance, we took abundance, and still abundance. Okay, breathe out now. You see, you didn't have to fight for the air in the room, did you? There was enough to go around for everybody. From abundance, the law of abundance takes care of everything like that. I'll give you a much easier example to understand. You take a little apple seed, a little smidgy little black little apple seed, and you plant that in fertile soil in your garden. You won't grow another apple seed. You won't grow another apple. You will grow an entire tree. And that tree will produce hundreds of apples containing thousands of seeds. And if you plant those thousands of seeds in the fertile soil of your garden, you will grow thousands of more trees, producing hundreds of thousands more apples, holding millions of seeds. That is the law of abundance in action.